Operation status quo. Operation status quo. Prepare to engage. Operation status quo. Ready to engage. Operation status quo. Engaged. Engaged. Hi, are we on? Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is that you're seeing this, unless you're here with me live right now, then I'm on the East Coast, and it is indeed afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, late afternoon almost. Anyway. What time is it? It really doesn't matter because there is no such thing as time. I apologize. I was just taking a quick nap before the show started. I must have further dozed off. Anyway, how you doing out there? And welcome on a Tuesday afternoon. Are you feeling good and happy out there? I hope so, because that's what it's all about here on Operation Status Quo. And by the way, in case you're unsure, that's exactly where you are. I'm Pete Palmer, your user-friendly host, broadcasting live from the comfy confines of my very own home here in beautiful Florida. And this, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, is Operation Status Quo. If you haven't been here before, thank you so much for taking the time to join in today. Operation Status Quo is the place where we observe the status quo of life. Of course, we then learn to flow with the status quo of life. And most importantly, at the tippy top of importance, we learn to create our own flow of quo, because that is the only way to go. And really, that is always the most essential message, really the pinnacle of everything that we're trying to get across. We might delve into, topics on their own in little individual ways, but the big grand scheme of everything is, it doesn't matter what we talk about, or it doesn't matter what's going on. I mean, ultimately, we are the creators and have choices. And, I just think there's so much importance on that, I'd say it in a comical way, in a sense of creating your own flow of quo, just having fun. But the truth is, it really is about you creating your own flow in your life, recognizing who you are, what's important to you, all that type of stuff, connecting with your true inner self, and not getting too far out of sorts when the world seems to be doing so. Like for today, for example, it's funny because before I get into this quickly, I was watching one of the channels on YouTube that I like, Canadian Prepper, by the way, is if you want to check him out. He's pretty cool. Talks about, he's more, like I say, he's into the prepping, talks about like a lot of the geopolitical stuff and such. But what I like about him is that, he's not too far down the conspiracy road in certain regards. I like all the conspiracy stuff and I'm into it, Q and all that kind of thing. But the truth is, I like to hear, obviously, multiple perspectives, and he's really great and what he talks on, but sometimes he'll point out comments that he sees in his chat or whatever of people who, and if you follow the Q thing or the conspiracy thing and all that blah, they basically says that everything is a show, and I believe honestly, and that's where I'm going with this. Like he doesn't really feel that way because he feels it's really just happening how it's happening. I see it from a different perspective of ultimately, no matter what, everything's a show because it's all, there's so many levels of dimensions and beings and energies and frequencies and and everything in our physical world is just a manifestation of the energies that have already taken place on the other side, in a sense. I just think sometimes I always go back to saying things are liberating. It is liberating. He made it more sound like, people are trying to give themselves comfort by believing that this is all organized and happening on purpose. But I mean, as haphazard as it may seem, it's still, everything's happening on purpose. Like, even if like the conspiracy stuff is wrong in the way they say it, it doesn't matter what way you want, which side you're on or which way you want to word things. Ultimately, life is just a play. I mean, Shakespeare, right? We're all just actors on the stage, type thing. So, and I just think it's important to not be so heavy. I understand his perspective, because he's a prepper. He's building a cabin, and he's got like his weapons, and he's got everything he needs, survival for food and all that kind of thing. And I can't deny that that's not a good idea. That's not a good idea. It's a good idea, right? To always kind of be prepared in some type of way. But I don't know. I just kind of feel it's too heavy to live life that way of always worrying. I mean, of course, when something really happens, you would probably wish you had something more ready to go. But, at the same time, it's like it's too much to go every day worrying about like when they're going to drop a bomb or what crisis is going to occur. What crises are happening all the time. There's always some kind of flood or, catastrophe where, people are put out of their homes and don't have shower for months, or, I mean, who knows? This stuff's always going on. So I just think when those things happen, you work together with your community. I just think it all works out. I mean, it could be, I'm sure it could be a lot easier if you had a generator and, a bunch of food put away, but at the same time, I don't think, I think it's too heavy to always live that way of worrying about what's coming around the bend next, and do I have enough tissues put away in the storage unit to get me through in case I got to blow my nose for 2 years and I can't make it to the store. I don't know. So anyway, but I do believe that everything does really ultimately, we're all on different spaces and different ways of thinking, and I mean everything is great, but at the same time, everything is kind of happening on purpose in a sense, because there's only oneness in overall, right? And there's only one energy, and we're all reflections and all that. You want to go down those esoteric roads and mystical blah 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 blah. I mean, some of it might sound a little too much, but I mean, ultimately, that's I feel comfort in that, because at the end of the day, and before the beginning of the next, it really doesn't even matter, what the hell's going on, because like I was saying, if it was yesterday or whenever I was talking about it, that everything's relative to a time period. So everything's just happening the way it's happening, the way it's meant to happen. So I don't think we need to get too heavy on things. Make responsible choices. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have like a couple cans of tuna or soup or some beans or something in the fridge, or in the closet that you can store in case you need something for a couple days. But ultimately, what are we talking about here? Do you really want to? I really don't. If the world went Mad Max, like, do I really want to live in a world where I'm worrying about who's going to be kicking in my door and killing me for whatever I have? It's just like, here, just take it. So, all right. Anyway, so I got that off my chest. I was just thinking that today because I saw this video and I really liked the guy, and I was just curious, not curious. I just, that kind of perspective, he's a little more, he doesn't go that way so much. He's more like, I guess if you want to say, grounded and practical and, just human, as opposed to be more angelic and thinking like, I always think floating around, that's just that my brain's like always floating around. My brain's not like locked in like a, I'm not calling him a robot or anybody else a robot, but like it's not like focused into that, like, just living, like, and really believing all this is real, so I'm just kind of floating around out there, and every once in a while I have to remind myself that, I'm in a body and I have to take care of it. It's like, oh yeah, I got to pee, you know what I mean? Like, I got to come back into my body and take care of that. All right. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome here once again. Thank you for being here. And today's episode, well, first of all, today is the 22nd of August in the good year 2023. And today's episode is entitled Sing Your Song. That's right. Sing Your Song. I really wanted to talk about quickly, what's his name? Oliver something, the guy who did that song, Men North of Richmond. I know, I'm sure it's been around a little bit, but, I'm always kind of behind because I don't pay attention much to stuff that's going on. What's his name? It's Oliver Anthony is his name. And, if you haven't heard the song, go check it out. It's actually a really great song. He plays the, guitar really well, and it's just him playing the guitar. It's really a good song. So, but of course, it's mired in controversy because of some of the things he said in the song, that the woke agenda and all that stuff, feels it's rude and racist and, I don't know, sexist. I'm sure it's whatever it is. They're mad at everything because that's just the way it goes when people express themselves freely. And I want to go through the lyrics. I just want to go through the lyrics with you guys, and please feel free to drop comments in the comments and let me know what you're thinking and what you think about the song and what you think about some of the lyrics or whatever. But I don't understand why people get so upset, when somebody just has an opinion and, the guy wrote a song and this is what he thinks. Like, what do you care? Like, why does that make him a bad person, or why do we have to, quiet that message? It just, that kind of stuff doesn't make sense to me. So let's get into it real quickly here, ladies and gentlemen. So if you haven't heard the song, go ahead and listen. But if you have heard the song, I'm just going to read the lyrics here and just kind of decipher them, see what we come up with and what we think, right? So in his song, he says, I've been selling. I wanted to play the song for you, by the way, but I'm afraid with YouTube, I would just get, it would kick me off or whatever, right? Because it's copyright or some type of thing. So anyway, he says, I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay. I mean, that sounds pretty reasonable as to what's going on in America today, right? So I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. And, it's just funny because that is kind of the world they create with the paradigm that we're in, as far especially for survival monetarily and such. With the working, we have these jobs, and I talk about my job all the time, right? These BS jobs that don't mean shit, and you have to you go all day, and you're kind of miserable about it. Then you come home, and what do people do? Either they drink or they, whatever they drown themselves in to just forget that they even exist, right? So I think it's kind of the point he's making, because the day-to-day life that is created for us here in our quote-unquote civilized society does not lend itself to living with a soft heart generally, right? You're always on the go, and you don't have time to worry about what other people are thinking. You don't even have time to know what you're thinking, right? So that was then the pre-chorus comes up and goes, "It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me and people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is." Then he says, living in the new world with an old soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they just want to have total control. Want to know what you think, want to know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, cause your dollar ain't shit and it's taxed to no end cause of rich men north of Richmond, right? And the shit speaks for itself. I know sometimes I don't even have to really, there's nothing to decipher, right? I mean, it pretty much is the truth of what's going on. The powers that be, not even the powers that be that, we think are the powers that be, but I've spoken on this before, the essences or whatever's really up there going on, the levels of control that we don't understand. But the whole thing is control. It's always about control. And why should any entity have control over another, in any sense of life and existence? It's even with animals, we shouldn't have control over the animals. We should work with the animals, and same type of thing. These, the way our society again is set up to keep us boxed in, they just want to have control over what you do each day, and and basically keep you in that little petri dish of shit that I always talk about. And if it's true that the dollar ain't worth shit, ladies and gentlemen, and I've spoken on that before too, multiple times, about what's going on in our financial system and how things are changing. So these are things to be aware of course. And those rich men north of Richmond, but I'm sure there's some rich men down south of Richmond too that are contributing to the problem. But I know what he means. But I'm sure he's probably mostly speaking in New York, right? I mean, geez. So I wish politicians would look out for minors and not just minors on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milk. This is the part that got people mad. And the obese milk and welfare. I guess he started talking about obese milk and welfare, and he said, well, God, if you're 5'3" and 300 pounds, taxes ought not pay for your bag of fudge rounds. Young men putting themselves 6 feet in the ground because all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. And I understand. When this first came out, when I first heard about this, it was because of that line with the obese and and welfare and such, and of course all the people got all worked up and upset talking about, that he's creating an image of what it is to be on welfare and these social programs. And listen, let's be real, people, okay? First of all, welfare, I don't say it's a bad system, okay? Overall, the idea of helping someone when they need help, but you can't have a society that's all living off, the government all the time, and I know people that had difficult situations in their life and did go on welfare for a short time to just get themselves up, but they didn't even want to be on it, but they did do it and got off it as quickly as they could. So, but then you have the other people that are soaking up the welfare and they're driving by in their nice car or whatever jewelry they got on, and they're not actively trying to participate in society, whatsoever. And, are all people on welfare obese, 300 pounds, 5 foot, whatever, eating fudge rounds? Sure, no. Obviously, but, see, these are the kind of people that get mad. And I think that's I don't think we need any more lyrics. Hold on. Oh, I dropped my, excuse me there. I dropped my phone. But because I don't think there's that was pretty much, is there another, no, that's all. It's all, those are all pretty much the same lyrics again. It does the same couple of cycles. But anyway, that was the main part I really wanted to get to there. First of all, I think the song is great, and it really gives a lot of truth. I mean, it's talking about real crap, like working people struggling to get by, that, life is hard and people are working themselves to death to not really get much back for what they do. Like, I don't, first of all that aspect, I don't see there's no problem, right? But so what? He mentions obese people. I mean, like, and how many people realistically on the system, and it's not even about being obese. Like, it's not a criticism, it's a matter of, the mindset. Like, if you have a certain mindset, you're not going to be obese. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. Like, to me, I know people have issues, and some people would argue with me on this, but you have choices, you can decide what you want your body to be and all that type of stuff, what you want your life to be, how you make your money, and everything else. You can decide all that type of stuff. And then, we get these people that have been, and again, I don't want to criticize individuals because I know so many people in general, we've been programmed, by the society that wants people to be lazy. And then, they want to get all up in arms of like, oh, you're attacking the obese people. And it's like, but who's really mad? Who's mad? The person, the only reason they're mad is because they're mad at themselves. Like, if you're mad at, because I always say, we're all just reflections. So whatever, especially when you feel something towards another person, that really, just this person just grates you, just grates you, gets on your nerves and you can't take it. That's really something for you to look at, because whatever you're mad at that person about is like really what you're mad at yourself about on some type of level, that you're not forgiving yourself for some kind of aspect. And that's why, you look at it that way. So, I guess I don't say pick on, but one of the obese topic, gets me a lot. And even people like with diabetes, whatever, the self-induced diabetes, it's like, these are things like they don't have to be, but people like being like a victim, like to have a story, or oh, I got a thyroid problem, or oh, I got this, or you know what I mean? Like, and the truth is, like, well, I mean, like, what? Then go take care of it. It's like, and I'm the only ones that really complain that way, or like people who I feel don't want to necessarily take responsibility for themselves. Like, life is not easy, right? There's a lot, we have to overcome. It's about being strong and moving forward. And, what got me about this particular topic, I guess, and to talk about it, was just the fact that, this guy is just a guy writing a song. It's what he believes. It's his, creative expression of how he views, things that are going on in the world today, in the country, where he would like to see more, equity, equality, whatever you want to say, right? And, he didn't say, make this song number one. The song went number one. People love the song. And now they want to come out and be like, oh, well, he's insulting. I remember I was watching one of the news shows, and the one girl started saying, oh, well, obesity is a serious problem in our country. It's an epidemic. And I'm thinking, like, what are you talking about? Of course, is it an epidemic? Why is it an epidemic? Because all the manufacturers and the big companies, what do? They produce all shit food that makes you sick and fat. So that's the crap that they're pumping out. Like, if everybody, if this is it really, obesity is a huge problem and rah, 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 rah. Is it? Well, then stop selling Doritos and shut down the fast food places, and stop selling soda. I mean, like, we can cut it down in probably a couple weeks if we just stopped. Actually, people just started eating real food. Everybody would go back to normal. But, again, and that's why, even going back to what I said in the beginning about everything being a show with the Canadian prepper, when I was talking about that topic a little bit, it's the same thing, because it is all a show. It's all bullshit. They come out with these agendas and these movements. These people need help. But, like, who's helping? You're not helping by, making a new flavor of Doritos, So I pick on Doritos so much. You know why? Because Doritos is like Doritos and Mountain Dew and the Oreos. Probably, like, I think that would be like the trifecta of like the worst crap you could put in your body. I'm sure there's worse, but I always like think of this. I know Doritos are total poison. Mountain Dew is just over the top with sugar, and Oreos is another one that's just really bad. So I know but the saying is like, these are popular products, and people would say, oh, everything in moderation. But as humans, like, why are we even making stuff like that? Like, I mean, why would we even create food and then call it food, right? We're calling it food and letting people believe that this is sustenance in some manner. Why would we even, create substances that, are have chemicals and additives and everything else in them to trick our brains, to trick our taste buds, to make us addicted, especially like the crap they put in French fries at the fast food, and all the fast food has stuff in it that's addictive, so I mean you gotta just think about it a little bit. And that's why I agree with saying everything's a show and done, with purposeful intent. It's not just haphazard, and this is just kind of how things develop and go on. And this is like, it's a pretty damn well orchestrated plan. And I'm happy for this Oliver Anthony and his song. I think it's a great song, and I encourage people to check it out if you haven't checked it out. And yeah, I mean that's it. I just think for the ultimate thing about this, like, to me, is just a person being an artist and expressing themselves. Even like comedy, comedy's taken such a hit with this whole woke nonsense. You can't say this, you can't joke that. This is an insult, that's an insult. I mean, come on, man. Like, what's an insult? Like, just grow with thicker skin a little bit. And if you don't like something, then you don't pay attention to it. You go on to the things that you like. And I don't want to criticize. I want to just say one last thing. I keep saying, this woke agenda, the leftist bullshit, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to get too heavy on that. I really do believe, if it wasn't for the context of how these words are utilized in today's social manner. I like the idea of being a liberal. I would consider myself a liberal because I like the idea of, people being able to express who they are, being free, not having a lot of government, intervention and corporate intervention, just, people making choices without other people up their ass all the time and watching every damn last thing they do. Like he says in the song too, like, they want total control. They want to know where you are, what you're doing, what you spend your money on, so, and that's the main, takeaway here is, I guess overall is that, I just can't get over how people get mad at this kind of stuff. It just always blows my mind. But I'm just, an artist, a comedian, whatever. You're making jokes. You're even a painting. What if you made a painting and it, offended somebody? I don't know. Just like people are expressing, let them express. And if it doesn't resonate with you, then that's not your space to be in. So, I mean, why is it a bad thing? And why has it got to be on the news like this big controversy? Because, he's putting down the U.S. dollar and he's cracking on, people that are obese or something. It's just like, forget about obese. We're talking about like people who are just like living off the system that have just like bots, like with no intention of like what are they contributing as you're just existing and consuming, and that's like what they want. They don't want people to be engaged in act, take action on their lives. They want you to just be like a cattle grazing out in the field, and when it's time for the slaughter, here it comes. It's time for the slaughter. The slaughter is coming today. Heyo. So that's what I got for you here today on Operation Status Quo, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to send a little shout out there for Men North of Richmond. And so check that out. And just remember, what I'm saying too is like if you ever want to do something or whatever you want to do in your life, and this is what I say to myself, don't worry about what anybody says. Forget, what the mainstream how they try to, put you in that little space. Forget about all that. And like, if you're I always say, you're better off being by yourself, doing your own thing and believing in it than trying to fit in with a crowd. Then you're always going to be anxious, and you always got to watch everything you do because you don't know if you're saying the wrong thing or you're going to be in trouble or is this rude or is this disrespectful. It's just too much, right? And we don't need it. And, this guy makes this little song. He's a nobody. The song, gets popular, and now he's a big jerk because he says the dollar ain't worth shit and obese people are living off the system. I mean, he's not like lying. So why is it a big deal? It's like, come on, man. But anyway, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time here today on Operation Status Quo. If you haven't done so already, I'm fighting this damn algorithm war, So do me a favor, just a little just a little click, subscribe, share, send this out to your friends, your family, those you love, and of course, those you despise as well. You can click the notification bell so you know when I go live most days of the week. I'm here. So, and I love you guys out there. I really, really do. I love everybody. I really just want to see people happy and have a good time and enjoy their life. And let's just stop stop arguing with each other and making such a big deal out of shit that don't mean shit, all the time. So, what was the last thing I was going to say? I did say about like and subscribe and all that stuff and blah, 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 blah. And I thought I was going to say one more thing. Gosh, hold on. I'm going to try to see if I can bring it back to the front of my brain here. I was going to say, oh yeah, I was going to say you're welcome to be here on the show. See, I knew I wanted to say something else. If you please comment, and you can reach out to me. My contact information is in the description box below. So feel free, and you can be here if you like to be here, or send me some messages of topics you like to see discussed, and I'd be happy to discuss those topics as well. So I'm here for you. I'm a man of the people. You're the people. We're the people. Wouldn't you like to be a people too? We're the people. You and me are people. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Until tomorrow. Operation Status Quo disengaged.